I had a defining moment in my life where I read this most amazing book that a random stranger gave to me on the plane. And it was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it was, I got to say, the first book that I read cover to cover that was something other than a fiction book outside of law school. So I read that.
I mean, it is still a great book.
It's a phenomenal book.
You talk about taking something that's so complex like finances and investing and breaking it down into just this real easy to understand, it was just book and message. It was awesome.
Well, you read it like immediately after I read it. So yeah, some guy is sitting next to me on a plane, finishes his book, literally turns to me and hands it to me on the airplane and says, "Here, you're going to need this. It's going to change your life." And so I take the book from him and I look at the cover and it says Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I thought, that sounds kind of stupid. But what I couldn't mistake is he was so genuine when he handed this book to me. He was so really specific that it was going to change my life. He believed it. And so I opened it and I started sort of reading just out of respect for the fact that he had given this to me. And I got to tell you, I got hooked immediately. I read it the entire flight home. I read it like from cover to cover, sat down, like dropped everything in the front hall, went and sat on my couch, finished the book. And I remember that moment when I closed that book and I made a commitment to myself. And that commitment that was back in 2001. That commitment was that I was going to take 100% responsibility going forward for my success in life, for all my results in life. And you're like, oh, well, that sounds like a really wise, conclusion that she came to, Heather. Not sure you needed a book to figure that out. But I can't tell you how meaningful that blinding flash of the obvious was for me, because what I had been doing up until then without my knowledge, I wasn't aware of it, is that I was blaming different people in my world for any lack of progress that I perceived or any lack of happiness that I perceived.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, that's just because most people do it doesn't make it right.